Pitch plays an important role in English, going beyond its impact on individual words, such as word stress, to complete utterances. With the rising and falling of the voice to various pitch levels, speakers are able to communicate linguistic and pragmatic meaning, which is commonly referred to as intonation. Intonation is considered as the melody of speech. In the system of English intonation, there are several key terms we need to understand, including intonation phrase and the 3 T's. Intonation phrase, we call it IP for short, refers to a stretch of speech where an identifiable intonation pattern is applied, also known as intonation unit or thought group. Regarding the 3 T's, the first T is derived from tonality, referring to how speakers divide speech into IPs. The second T, tonicity, concerns the specific location of the last accent, also known as the nucleus, tonic, or tonic syllable within an IP. As for the last T, tone, it refers to the specific pitch pattern used. Now let's take a close look at the 3 T's one by one. Tonality is concerned with the division into IPs. Typically, each IP can be set apart by pauses before and after. It contains one prominent element, and it has its own intonation contour. Besides, it has a grammatically coherent internal structure. According to Roach, double vertical lines can be used to represent pause-type boundaries, marking a place where you can stop speaking, while a single vertical line can be used to indicate a non-pause boundary, which occurs when what you have said is incomplete. Here is a sentence. Please try to divide the sentence into IPs. How many possible IPs can be identified? Two or three? Now, let's listen to the recording and check how the native speaker divides the sentence.
For nearly 2 years, I've been regularly listening to audiobooks on my phone.
According to the recording, there are 3 IPs. Some of you might be confused about the third IP. The pitch movement of "on my phone" sounds like a restart. Besides, considering the grammatical structure, the adverbial "on my phone" can stand apart from the clause, so "on my phone" is the third IP. If we consider the second and the third IPs as one, it would be hard for listeners to follow. For tonicity, it concerns where the nucleus is in an IP. Typically, words that the speaker wishes to highlight will receive prominence. One of these words is the most prominent one, and its stressed syllable then becomes the nucleus. Normally, in the unmarked utterances, which is usually the first utterance in a conversation, the nucleus is the stressed syllable of the last content word. In other words, all the content words, such as nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, etc., are often accented. And the nucleus is the last accent in the IP. Let's move back to this sentence. Please listen again to the recording and decide the nucleus of each IP.
For nearly 2 years, I've been regularly listening to audiobooks on my phone.
The nuclear syllables are years, the first syllable of audiobooks, and phone. As for the remaining content words nearly, regularly, and listening, they are all accented words, but not the most prominent ones. Actually, this sentence is the first sentence of a passage. The speaker tends to focus attention on the whole message. You may notice that each nucleus occurs at the final content word in each IP, so the whole utterance has unmarked tonicity. The last T, tone, concerns what pitch pattern is used. Please note that tone in English is specified not for words used in Mandarin, but for phrases. Here, we just select monosyllabic words as examples. The most basic tonal difference in English is between falling tones and non-falling tones. For the falling tone, it can be further classified into high fall, low fall, and rise fall.
When. Who.
So all falls end low, and the major difference is how they begin. As for the non-falling tone, it includes low rise, high rise, fall rise, and mid-level.
Who. Where. How.
For non-falls, they do not end low, with the pitch at the end of the phrase either mid or high. Let's listen again to the 7 tones.
When. When. Who. Who. Where. Where. How.
In terms of fall, which of the falls do you think is the usual tone for dictionary audio clips? Actually, high fall is relatively common in English, compared to the low fall. You might find it might be difficult for students, even for us, to deal with 7 tones. Roach proposed a simplified version with 5 types of tones, including fall, rise, rise fall and level. Roach also suggested learners focus primarily on 3 basic types, namely fall, rise, and fall rise. Please note that these tones specifically refer to nuclear tones. Again, let's listen to the recording of this sentence and focus on the pitch pattern of each IP.
For nearly 2 years, I've been regularly listening to audiobooks on my phone.
In the first IP, I will analyze its intonation pattern for you. So, firstly, let's focus on the nuclear tone. It's a rise, or rather a low rise.
Years.
Next, focusing on the accented word, apart from the nucleus years, nearly is another accented word in the first IP. It is uttered high in pitch. As for 4 and 2 are de-accented, 4 is low while 2 following nearly with a high level pitch.
For nearly 2 years.
Now please tell me the nuclear tone of the second IP.
I've been regularly listening to audiobooks.
It's a falling nuclear tone, or rather a low fall. The low fall is realized on the nucleus, or, and the following 3 syllables of audiobooks. How about the rest of the IP? For regularly and listening, they are accented words and pronounced high in pitch, and the following word, too, also keeps high in pitch. In other words, the pitch movement remains steady, keeping high level, from the stress syllable of regularly to the last syllable before the nucleus, while for I've been, they are de-accented and pronounced low in pitch.
I've been regularly listening to audiobooks.
In the third IP, the nuclear tone is also a fall, or rather a low fall. The first 2 words on my are de-accented and start low. Now let's listen again to the recording of the whole sentence.
For nearly 2 years, I've been regularly listening to audiobooks on my phone.